All right, so I wanted to do a video and a quick discussion on what I'm dosing in kind of relevance to SPS and Acropora color. As we talked about before in previous videos, now things have changed a little bit since I've done the reboot, and I have a few frags going right now, and I'll show you those in the tank, for anybody that hasn't watched my videos or been keeping up. Some SPS does great in my tanks. I think some of the higher end Acropora tend to lose color on me, and I'm on the quest to figure out why and figure out what I need to do to improve it. So let's think about first, and add in the comments, add any information you have, anything that I missed in the video, or anything I'm even incorrect on. But when we're talking about coloration, it's kind of all the planets need to align type thing for higher end Acropora. So what they're going to need, you need, from what most everybody says, stable parameters in your water. So you need a little bit of phosphates, a little bit of nitrates, nothing heavy on those. You need a pretty stable, consistent alkalinity, ranging from most people that I see and talk to. Most people tend to keep it, that I talk to, around 8 to 8.5 or in the range of 8 to 9. I've talked to people before that keep theirs at 7.5. And I've seen forums where a few people keep a elevated alkalinity, like 10 through 12 or whatever. 12 is generally the high end. Then calcium levels, most people want to keep those 420 to 450. Magnesium, see variations of that. Some people run high magnesium. I usually run mine 1300 to 1350. So then there's the other trace elements that aren't tested all the time, and I find them through doing Icp Test. So let's go over first. I've got right here, this is everything that I'm dosing, with the exception of I'm currently dosing Kalkwasser, and I was doing 2-part, but like I said, I'm moving over and trying out a calcium reactor. So other than Kalkwasser, these are the only things that I'm dosing right now. What's in this jug, I don't have any of the actual bottles to show you, but is the Tropic Marin A and K trace elements. So I take both of those, mix them together, and then dose them. The recommended dosage for my tank is 4 mLs a day. Since I have a very light coral load right now, I've got it turned down. I'm only dosing 2 mLs a day of these right now. So that's a daily, so regular when I had more corals, then that was 4 mLs a day. Right now I'm doing 2 mLs a day. The Reef Enhance, I don't know that this stuff does anything. I don't know if it's really just snake oil. Some people swear by it. Some people say that it does absolutely nothing. It's kind of like a bacteria type thing. I only add this to the tank. It says do it every 2 days, I think, but I only do it once a week. So I don't really know if that's doing anything or not. I just continue using it, just as I've been doing it for a long time. I just keep on. The Red Sea, Coral Nutrition, AB+, that's another one there's a lot of controversy over. A lot of people say, oh yeah, it makes your water real pretty fluorescent yellowish green, but doesn't actually do anything. Some people say, that it's like sugar water, to feed bacteria and things like that. Some people, there's just all kind of claims. You can read all kind of forums about it, whether it's good or bad. And I don't know. I'm dosing that daily anyway, just to help. My tank has always been a low nutrient tank, so along with pretty heavy feeding. So if we want to add in, if we're talking about every single thing I put in the tank, the other thing would be fish food. And I use a combination of pellets. So I do pellets daily, twice a day. And it's a mixture of the of regular pellets, and then the what do you call them, for the ones with veggies in them for tangs and things like that. So I use a combination of those twice a day, and every other day I feed some frozen brine shrimp. So I do, when I'm feeding, I think I feed fairly heavily, just to try to add really more nutrients to the water as I'm taking so much out and it's always low. The other thing is the phytoplankton, and I add in that twice a week, one for corals, and then otherwise, I've read that copepods will eat it as well. So I do twice a week of that. I also twice a week add reefroids in, and I do probably half of what it recommends, but I do add some of that stuff in too. A lot of people say that when you dose that, it really jacks up your phosphates. Now mine aren't high, but I just don't, I don't dose it daily or anything like that. Some people have told me they do a daily, some do every other day, some do once a week. So it just kind of depends on that. I change it up a little bit, but I do dose it at times. So I'm dosing all these things, and then, you see the lights I have on there. Those are Kessels, and when I set that up, I went by the BRS recommendation. There was a video just on Kessels, and basically, it says for a 4-foot tank, you can get away with 2 Kessels if you're just running like leathers and softies. If you're doing SPS and Acropora, they recommended running 4 of them. They gave you the spacing, they gave you how they're testing, for par, how high over the tank you want to set them. So I set it up exactly how they tested and recommended. So that's the route that I took with those. But like I've talked about in my other videos, I am concerned a little bit as I add more and more to it. I'm concerned eventually, I'm gonna run into shadowing issues. But the other thing is that I'm still trying to figure out why, I've got, 3 Acropora up there that are kind of on the brownish side, and then one that was yellow and is starting to turn brown. So I got to figure out what's going on. Like, why am I losing color? I get growth out of them. They look healthy. There's polyp extension. It's just the color thing. So that's the piece of the puzzle that I have to figure out. So I'm missing, either my nutrients are too low, which I have some in it, and I don't know if the nutrients are going to play. I would think that would be more towards the growth and health. I don't know if if the nitrates and phosphates need to be elevated for coloration. I'm not sure on that one. But the trace elements in the ICP test, everything was good and in line, except for I was a little bit low on potassium. I haven't started dosing any potassium because I've done the reboot on the tank, and I've not done an I can't talk today, an ICP test on the tank since the reboot until today. So, empty box. I just did this, stuck it in the mail. So we'll wait on those results to come back and see after the reboot what I've got going on as far as the ICP test goes. So we're going to see, I guess, what, if I'm missing any elements, if I'm low on elements, what's actually going on with the water that might interfere with the coloration. Now, if you've been following along, the other issue is my tank is lower pH. But I've talked to people and heard several people say that even when they have lower pH, they don't have an issue with color, it's just slower growth. So I don't want to just say it's nothing to do with pH, but you know, from what I've read and been told, that might not be my problem, or it could be. The other thing that I'm looking at is the par level. Okay, so I'm going by what BRS recommended, tested, said was good, but I've never actually used a par meter to see what par I have in my tank. So I've ordered, and I have in the Orphic light bars. I'm going to be adding those onto the tank. I've got a mounting kit. I've got to set all that up. So I've also, instead of just renting one, it's something I want to start tracking more often to make sure I'm doing everything right and make sure everything's spot on. So I bought or purchased a par meter. So I have that ordered too, and it should be coming in, I guess, maybe later this week. So I'm trying to do every possible thing I can and figure out, you know, one, I'm trying to nail the pH thing down, but then two, I'm trying to figure out why my Acropora are browning out. Like I said, they look healthy, polyp extension's good, everything looks good with them, but they're browning out. So let's take a look real quick and see. I'm not sure how well things will show up here, but polyps are out there, but that guy's browned out. Same with this one. Same with that one. I'm not sure if you can see how well you can see on the video. The Millie back there is doing good. The Digitatas are doing fine, of course. But that one, I forgot what it was actually called, but it came in and it was actually yellow, and it has polyp extension, but it's browning out as well. So that's what I got to figure out. I have read in some forums that, you know, you'll get corals in at times and they'll brown out for a period, and then they come back with color, or possibly even a different color than they originally were. So maybe that's just the case. I'm just not sure on that, but I really do want to, you know, make sure it's nothing that I'm doing on my end, and I want to try to achieve the best coloration I can out of all my corals. And, you know, as I've said in previous videos here, lately, I'm trying to hammer out everything and make as stable a system as possible before I really start adding more corals in. So this is kind of my test case right now. And when I get everything figured out and stable and down pat, then I'll start ordering in a lot more coral. But anyway, thanks for watching the video. Hopefully you got something out of it. Leave any comments you'd like. I always, you know, enjoy reading them, and then especially any comments that have guidance or good tips or helpful to others. That's always appreciated. But thanks again for watching. See you next time.